introduce to you the man of the hour,
Tony.
Hello and welcome back to At the Gates. I am Tony, your host. Joining me today is
that tall guy, Jared.
So if you remember him, he is the guy that was with me in Atlanta, and he's joining me at Target. Oh, no, psych out. We are on a road trip again, and this time we are in where?
A little place they like to call Pittsburgh.
We are at PNC Park, right outside of the Clemente Gate, and we've already met Baseball Joe. Pretty cool guy. What did he say? Like 10,637 home run or baseballs?
Yep, something like that.
So that's pretty sweet. He said he's been doing it since he was 4 years old. We're here, going to get into the gates at, sounds like 4:30, and pretty excited about it. First to 5 ballpark. So tell the people where we're going.
Do you want the full roster or just the ballpark lineup? The ballpark lineup. So today is Friday, and we're in Pittsburgh.
Friday what?
Friday the 19th of May 2017.
AD.
We are in Pittsburgh, and then we're taking a day and a half off and traveling and seeing some sights, and then we're going to hit up Philadelphia, and then we're going to Baltimore, D.C., and then on the return trip back to Minnesota, we're going to hit up Cleveland.
Cleveland rocks. So 5 ballparks in seven-ish days. So that's pretty sweet. 5 new ballparks for both of us, and we were discussing on the car ride out, probably about a half hour outside of Pittsburgh, I think, is when we started it, about kind of comparing the stadiums and trying to come up with a top 10 list, or just ranking the ballparks that we have seen. I think we're going to cover that probably on the Cleveland episode, but kind of has us looking at what PNC has to offer. So far we've only walked the outside, but what's your opinions on the outside?
So far, well, obviously I haven't been to very many ballparks like you have, but for me, as we were talking about on the ride over, the thing that attracts me most to stadiums in general is the architecture and the complete package kind of deal. And so when you walk around this ballpark, for the most part, they have some blank spaces, but for the most part, compared to Target Field and some of the other places, there's design aspects all over the place. Having the bridge out here in the downtown area right across the river. Even the Riverwalk area is nicely maintained. There's a lot of great design aspects that you can see in and around those areas. They have statues and everything that goes along with the outside walk of a stadium. And everything seems to be really welcoming. There's a nice patio out in sort of left center that we're standing in front of right now that gives patrons to the game a nice place to sit and socialize before the game starts and sort of get out of the sun. This is a nice shady area too.
Yeah, it looks like there's a few restaurants, so it's really nice because if you get to the game way early, you can just go in, looks like grab a slice of pizza, some other options here. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Especially because Target Field doesn't have really any businesses that are remotely, especially this close to the ballpark.
Yeah, there's the one concession stand, but pretty much everything, I mean, sure, we have the restaurant type facilities there, but most of them are not generally accessible to the outside like this one is. So yeah.
And the closest one is probably that Hubert's, which is by Target Center, connected to that.
And it's not even a ballpark official one. It's just related to because it's next to.
Yep. So it's kind of cool, kind of like you said, welcoming and warm. What are you expecting on this road trip? What are your goals? Because I know that you're not a ball hawk, so walk me through what you want to do.
Well, let's see. The primary goal is to just try to get some really great, fantastic photos to remember the trip by. So I've been spending, from the moment we left to where we stand right now and through the rest of the trip, I'm going to be taking a lot of just documenting the trip along the way. But ultimately, my goal is to get some really fantastic imagery of the stadiums to sort of remember them by and put myself in that place, because the ball game can go by so fast.
Yep.
That the images are nice to have that memory.
And you've kind of done that already by taking some panos at some stadiums and getting a nice kind of home plate view of each stadium. So kind of, I take it, keeping that tradition going, and then just seeing other aspects of the field, like what we've already been doing.
Yeah, there will definitely be a component of, we've walked around the outside. We've taken a lot of great photos of the facility, but obviously all the glory shots are on the inside, the interior of it, and the view especially. So I'm going to be spending probably a good portion of the game sort of around sunset, probably 2 innings, maybe 3 innings worth of just hitting every single space and every corner of the stadium that I can to get, some really fantastic shots. Because even though it's a little hazy right now, we can deal with that. But the sun's out, it's partly cloudy, and sunset tonight should be pretty fantastic. So we should get some good stuff.
And on a ball hawking side, it's not that I want to kick you out, but having that extra seat for 2 innings while you go run around and do your thing, just likewise, like sometimes when I'm out ball hawking, it gives you a way to go solo and get those glory shots like you were talking about. It's kind of best of both worlds, where like both of us have completely
something to do.
Yeah, we have something to do, and it's completely opposite, so
We're not interfering with each other.
Yep. So what's special about like your setup? Like, did you do anything different for maybe your gear that you brought?
Well, I've been scoping out buying some upgraded gear from my old setup. So what I did was I went out and rented some gear from lensrentals.com. This episode sponsored by lensrentals.com. And I got the Canon 5D Mark II, or Mark IV, sorry, and the Canon 11 to 24 millimeter f4 wide-angle lens, and both of them are sort of try it before you buy it kind of situations.
And I think basically within the first shot that you had on that new lens, you basically sold yourself, did you not?
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is the cost, and so it might be a year or 2 before I can even get down that road, but this lens is pretty fantastic, and I can use it for a lot of really great things. I've got so many ideas in my head right now. It's too bad the setup is as ginormous and heavy as it is, but good thing I got big hands and somewhat have some muscle to be able to lug it around.
It's like you're carrying basically a dozen balls already in your backpack.
Pretty darn close, yeah. It's a pretty massive setup. The 11 to 24 millimeter lens was definitely probably about 50% larger than I anticipated it to be. Like, I expected it to be that much smaller right off the bat. But, you never know until you get it the first time. I've never had one in my possession before. So, already on the trip, I'm extremely excited. And we haven't even been in a stadium to take a picture of it yet. So
yeah, you've just been basically taking pictures as we're driving in the car, and you're already popping a chubby over it. So that's kind of like me, like, getting super excited as we, like, just enter a city knowing that there's a baseball park.
The anticipation.
Yeah, and
sure.
like I've been kind of that way, but you, man, this lens, I think you sold yourself on it, so I'm a little bit concerned for your wallet.
There's so many benefits to it too. I mean, not that you can't get a lot of the similar type images out of it, out of a non-wide angle lens like this. It's just more work to handle, and so it's one of those things where you say, okay, well, if I really penny pinch and try to go after it, I can save up enough money and make sure that I can get a really solid lens and get everything that I need to do, and it'll end up saving, a lot of work in the long run, because I remember going back in 2010 and 11 when we spent the first whole year of Target Field just exploring the place.
Yep.
And that was when it was open. Even before that, we spent probably a good year and a half when they started having the lights on and stuff like that, walking around and getting a good feel for the place. And when you're taking a sort of a standard kit lens like I had at the time, and you're having to take 8 or 10 images and then having to go back into Photoshop and stitch them together just to get one panorama, that can add up, and that can take a lot of time, especially if you want to do panoramas from every different corner of the facility, and outside and inside, and up and down and left and right at all different angles. And so having that one lens can save you a lot of time, and essentially if you have a business, and which I'm considering doing, it can save you a lot of money too.
And like you said, there's some elements of scoping it out and trying to figure out like the ballpark itself and knowing what you're doing. So the fact that you don't know what you're doing, having equipment that makes it a little bit easier is probably helpful as well too.
Yeah, for sure. And it helps too that I've been able to go to Target Field and have this experience for over 8 seasons now. And ballparks are all pretty much the same in certain ways, shapes, and forms. And so when you're getting certain imagery from left field and right field, you know where the spots are once you get that experience under your belt, and can pretty much apply that to any baseball stadium that you go to at any point in time. So whether it's Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or Baltimore or DC or whatever, you can end up getting really fantastic shots because you end up knowing where all of the great angles are. Yep. So.
Sorry about that pause. Was talking to Ballhawk Joe, who I mentioned. And I am now done with BP. Have 5 on the board, 3 during the Pirates portion and 2 during the Phillies. Not bad. Pretty decent amount of competition here. It's lively. It's different. But the big glove has helped, as well as a sign that describes the road trip. So not bad keeping that going. So far, what I think about PNC is that it's really, really good looking. Looks really awesome. It's nice to cross off one more stadium from the list, and the only downfall is that I did not realize that there was going to be netting that was not only extended all the way down to the end of the dugout, but about 20 feet high. So that is less than ideal. We'll see how I can pull this off. Maybe I can get one. I'm hoping so. Sounding like rain's going to come in too, so that is not the best news. But it is what it is. So continue the streak of 4 going, and if I can continue the gamer, that would be best of all worlds. I'd definitely take 6. So I think I will give a small update once I am done with the game, probably joined again with Jared. So next time you hear me, I will have taken in a complete game at PNC Park. The game is over. The Phillies win 7-3. For the 4th time in a row, the home team has lost when I am on the road. And I ended up the night with 6 baseballs. So that's pretty sweet.
On that?
So Jared, any final parting words?
If you ever come to Pittsburgh on a Friday night when they have fireworks, be prepared, because that's a legit fireworks show. That takes the cake out of any of the ones that I've seen so far.
Yeah, they don't go Target Field and go skimpy on it. So, with that said, I think we're going to end it here, and then, I kind of ended it.
Oh, okay.
So, next episode will be from Philly, another Pennsylvania city, in case you didn't know where that is.
At the gates of the National Mall in Washington.
Goodbye.